Hey cuties, what's up? We're back with some more reactions after dark, and of course we're going to be watching Disturbing Things I Found on the Internet, Volume 17, obviously by Lazy Masquerade. We're finally back with some more reactions after dark, since of course we have recently started taking the weekends off, if you were not aware. That's a thing now, if you didn't read the posts. Weekends are officially off, so no daily videos on the weekends other than me just like playing random stuff if I want to play random stuff, which recently is ESO. But we're back. No hater comments or hater segment today, obviously. Again, that's just normal. No radical break as well. This video is only like 40 minutes, 38 minutes. The problem with this video, though, is obviously the thumbnail is Uncle Red, right? And we've seen Uncle Red 100 times already. So it's just like, it's just the issue when you are watching these channels that just cover horror or true crime, etc. in like compilations like this. They all eventually just talk about the same thing over and over again. And so here we are again for the third time at least. Like at least with Uncle Red. And it's only what, like, let's see. It comes in at 30 minutes, so it's only 8 minutes long, so nothing's going to be as detailed as Stephanie's original video. Was it a Rotten Mango video? The original, like, Uncle Red? It had to be a Rotten Mango video, right? Though I feel like the last one did give us a little bit more information, so it's like, but I just want to end up just fast forwarding through this or just skipping it completely, which I have done before. Because we already know about Uncle Red. We've already heard him talked about at least 2+ times now, so like an entire video dedicated to him.
As nerdy as it is to admit, I've always had a soft spot for online worlds. RuneScape in my youth, World of Warcraft in my teens. There's something strangely compelling about stepping into a shared digital space filled with thousands of strangers.
I don't know, what did he say? Online what? Talking about like MMOs, but...
You have goals, but the route to achieving them is clear. There's a hierarchy to climb, rewards to chase. It's easy for players to get sucked in and convince themselves that they're a part of something bigger.
I feel like this beginning part is just an ad, so I'll let them keep going, but once the ad kicks in...
I stumbled upon a virtual world that wasn't created by professional developers or backed by a studio. It was built by the remnants of a UFO cult that most people assumed had vanished decades ago. This is the disturbing online rabbit hole of Cinderella.
Which is
Speaking of internet horrors,
the first thing.
Take a quick look at this 11-page report. Over the years...
This is his Aura ad now, so that's just this Cinderella here is what he's going to be talking about. So let's go ahead and just skip to actually getting to the thing. It's aura.com/lazy for his link to his sponsorships. Yeah, aura.com. That's aura.com/lazy.
In the 1960s, Europe was experiencing a surge of extraterrestrial interest. Man was finally exploring the final frontier, and people were becoming genuinely curious about what might be out there. Science fiction boomed, UFO sightings sold newspaper columns, and some charlatans realized it was possible to build entire followings around claims of alien contact.
When was Roswell? Was it the 40s or 50s? I don't remember.
One such group, formed in Paris in 1966, was ISOCEN. The so-called Grand Master of this association was Jean-Paul Appelgary, a man who claimed he had been awakened in his youth when a beam of light traveled through his brain. Since then, he had been in telepathic contact with extraterrestrials who had tasked him with guiding humanity through a period of spiritual transformation. His exact philosophy is hard to wrap your head around, as he writes and speaks in a pretty incomprehensible way. To give an example, the initiatic keys gathered in infernal awakening open the door to an inner vibrational order and a secret resonance with the essence. From what I can understand though, Appelgary claimed to be on a quest to help people escape the dark sewers of the collective unconscious and awaken their minds to the level of the superior race, a race he dubbed the Cosmic Aryans. Always worrying when people start throwing the word Aryan around. ISOCEN formally dissolved in 1978, but successor movements later emerged under different names, including
cool artwork at least though.
Galactius, Futura, and Cinderella.
Assuming that's not B-roll and is just artwork from whatever he's talking about.
The latter derived from the word sidereal, meaning related to the stars. During those early years, the group predominantly recruited members from college campuses, where they presented themselves as mere UFO enthusiasts.
Of course.
People who ran health food shops, organic restaurants, and cosmic bookstores. Allegedly, Gary would then single out those with troubled home lives and few friends. He then encouraged new recruits to live communally with the rest of the group, to wear robes and carry crystals, to discover their true inner self, which they could learn from his courses and books, all available for purchase at very reasonable prices. In 1982, roughly 200 members of the group relocated to Tahiti in French Polynesia and attempted.
This looks like obviously some sort of cultist stuff. Those buildings are cool. I mean, unique architecture, right? But is that a woman on the right there just walking around in like a shirt and underwear? Question mark. No shoes on. Very cult-like. Exceedingly cult-like.
Attempted to create a quasi-utopian spiritual base. There, they would meditate, listen to Gary's lectures, and watch their favorite documentary, Star Wars, which they believed was a retelling of historical events told to George Lucas by aliens who implored him to make the films. But
it was supposed to be a tale from a long time ago, right? So you could argue.
Sadly, life on the island wasn't all fun and games. On Tahiti, Cinderella members were isolated from their loved ones back home. In this vulnerable state, Gary would love bomb them and have them speak in childish, coded language. He restricted their diets and deprived them of sleep. Soon, many Cinderella members claimed to be having visions of extraterrestrial figures, perhaps because they truly bought into what Gary was selling, perhaps because they were deliriously hungry and tired. Many ex-members would later say he had simply ground down their resolve. But that wasn't the worst of it. According to ex-member Isabel Sebage, who joined the group when she was just 17, in order for female members to purge themselves of darkness, they had to take part in tantric transmutation, a ritual which involves sitting in a circle around Gary, undressing, and having group relations with him. Only those.
I was going to say, like, is it actually going to go there? And it does end up going there, so yeah. Duh, it's cult. Like, hello? This is all cult stuff, right?
And selected by the guru were required to take part. Though outsiders accused Gary of creating Cinderella to exploit his followers for profit.
Of course.
Insiders seemed to truly believe what the Grand Master preached, especially when it came to his doomsday prophecy.
I don't know if I've heard of this before, though. The Cinderella situation here. Since I was pretty into this kind of stuff. Not this stuff, but like aliens and cryptids and all that stuff in the 90s, just because, you know, that was like a big boom for that kind of stuff. You had so many TV shows and documentaries about like cryptids, aliens, Bigfoot, Jersey Devil, ghosts, etc., etc. It was just like all over television at that time. But I don't think I've ever heard of this.
According to Gary, he had telepathically received word that the apocalypse was fast approaching. Only those with a high level of consciousness would be saved by extraterrestrials and transported via flying saucer to Alpha Centauri. All of this was laid out in Gary's 1982 comic, Timeless Voyage, which was...
Is that actually, like, actually just exposed there? It needs to be censored?
Illustrated by Cinderella member and artist Sergio Macedo. But what most would consider science fiction, Cinderella considered a sacred, factual text. The comic reportedly sold 30,000 copies in France alone, and maybe what influenced legendary sci-fi illustrator Mobius to join the sect in 1983.
Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to say. I feel like if you are like one of these crazies, I'm not gonna say like they're all crazy, but just use the word crazy, and you have this thing that you believe is how things actually work or how things are going to turn out, or like, you know, some sort of like cult book, because this guy's selling a book, right? I feel like you should make it as cheap as possible, not just, oh yeah, I'm going to sell this book for X amount of money so I can make a lot of money. It's like, if you believe it, I mean, other than just giving away for free, it should be like $1, right? Out the bat. Like, not just eventually end up being $1, like in the dollar bin, whatever. Like, you start off selling it for $1, if not cheaper, if you want the masses to understand your way of thinking, if you actually want people to think. Well, not think, but like, know what you know.
Taking his family to Tahiti. And though he left the group a year later, after falling out with the leader over his treatment of members, while there, he helped work on an unreleased animated project for them, titled Internal Transfer, which was based on Timeless Voyage.
Again, all this artwork is really cool, if nothing else.
But Mobius wasn't the only one inspired by the comic. Also among its readership were members of an entirely different cult, the Order of the Solar Temple, or OTS. Helmed by Luc Jouret and Joseph Demambro, this neo-
Only OTS? Just leaving out the T at the end?
Templar group, which was quite prolific in France, Switzerland, and Canada at the time, had long believed in transiting to a higher cosmic realm prior to the Earth's destruction, and Timeless Voyage essentially mirrored their beliefs. Thus, OTS began buying and distributing Gary's comic, with some members arguably adopting it as a blueprint. The problem was, in their minds, the only way to get off-world was to exit their current bodies and enter their new solar bodies.
which is what cults usually end up going with. Like, oh, we need to ascend to a higher plane. The only way to ascend to a higher plane is to all die, drink the Kool-Aid.
In 1994, the firm's believers decided it was time to drink the Kool-Aid.
Like, it literally just said it, that's all.
Members were divided into 3 groups. The Awakened, who were deemed strong enough to end their own existences. The Immortals, who were willing participants, but needed a bit of help to die. And the Traitors, those who refused to go along with the great plan. 2 people deemed to be traitorous were Antonio and Suzanne Boudoir, a husband and wife who had once been members of OTS. On the 3rd
yeah, I mean, they have a child, so...
September that year, the Dutoits were lured to Mumbrow's chalet in Quebec and ambushed by a small hit squad of cultists. They not only took Suzanne and Antonio's lives, but also the life of their 3-month-old baby, whom they ritualistically stabbed with knives and a stake. 2 of the killers stayed behind at the chalet to clean up, and then burned down the building with themselves inside. On October 2nd through to the 3rd, 23 other OTS members were killed at a site in Sherry, Switzerland.
And they have summoning circles. Like, what do you need summoning circles here? This is like all extraterrestrial nonsense. Why am I calling it summoning circle? What do you have, pentacles here? Like, what do you need protection from? Question mark. I feel like that you kind of lost the plot there, if those are actually exist. Because this is all like high-tech, alien, extraterrestrial nonsense. Like, why do you need pentacles? And if you don't know what I'm talking about the pentagram in the circle. Like, a pentagram is just a star. A circle around a pentagram creates a pentacle. Question mark. And it's used for protection, not for like devil nonsense. That's just what the media wants you to think. Like, this has to do with Satan, right? But it doesn't have anything to do with Satan. It's just used for protection. But again, like, what do you need protection from? 1, and 2, why are you doing this to begin with when this should have nothing to do with your religion? Question mark. Again, it's about aliens, not protection from evil.
Not all of them went willingly. Evidence later proved that some tried to defend themselves, but were overpowered by the majority of members. A further 25 ODS followers died in Salvan. Some victims were sedated and shot. Others voluntarily injected poison into themselves, believing that by doing so, their souls would be able to transit to another world via flying saucer. The sites where both of these incidents took place were also set ablaze. Bodies were later found arranged in ceremonial robes, with some placed in star-shaped formations. In total, 53 people.
I mean, other than that, right? Other than that, I guess they're just using it as star because, you know, it's a star and aliens, so stars. I mean, that makes sense, I guess. I can get around that, but it just looks like a pentacle, so it's like you're adding like spiritual, metaphysical stuff. Not spiritual, metaphysical. That's not even right, because that kind of almost is in their wheelhouse. I don't know, I just feel like the two things are like not necessarily too similar to each other than the fact that, oh yeah, it's a star, so aliens.
Lost their lives, including several children. The group's leaders were hoping to bring that death count to 54, mirroring the 54 Templar Knights who were burned at the stake in 1310, but one member was able to escape. More deaths linked to the group would follow in 1995 and 1997, and many drew connection between OTS's mass sacrifice and the events depicted in Timeless Voyage. Following this incident, Applegary distanced himself from OTS, claiming that he never had any direct contact with the group or its leadership.
Okay, so OTS did that, not Cinderella, whatever. That was OTS's doing. I don't know if I know about that one. So I thought this was Cinderella doing this, not OTS, so maybe that makes more sense for OTS, I don't know. I'm not too knowledgeable on these cults that just mass side themselves. Question mark, because everyone knows about the Kool-Aid one, even though I couldn't actually tell you what the Kool-Aid one was called. Right? Yeah, everyone knows the drink the Kool-Aid phrase. I mean, I used it earlier. Lazy used it earlier. But any others than that, I don't know if I know about.
Which for all we know may well be true.
At least I can't remember on the spot.
No, the damage was done. Concern about New Age movements throughout Europe grew. Ex-Cinderella members accused Applegary of putting them through hell and using them to indulge in his own perverse and abusive desires. Family members of those still within the group asked the authorities to investigate them. And, in the end, French officials denounced Cinderella as a dangerous cult which financially and psychologically preyed on the vulnerable. For what it's worth, Applegary has always rejected that. From there, Cinderella seemingly rebranded, this time to Azure Wellness, relocated back to Europe, and bought a chateau, which on paper they turned into a hotel and restaurant, though many people suspect that Applegary used it as an isolated communal space for his followers to live. Fellow YouTuber Point Raven took a look at the area where the chateau was located on Google Maps, and noticed this hotel with a rather unusual layout. A strange communal area, a long hallway with dorm-like rooms, and a strangely small bedroom area. The reviews for this place do seem to suggest that this is a genuine hotel though, so the chateau may have changed hands over the years. As also pointed out by Point Raven though, the chateau purchased by Applegary is probably more likely to be this building down the road, hidden behind these trees. As well as the chateau, Applegary reportedly bought a flotilla of pleasure boats using money he had acquired from his followers. In 1999, the sect reported to the government and confirmed that they no longer carried out any activities. But although Cinderella was dissolved on paper, Applegary and the dwindling remnants of the group remained active, spreading not only to different parts of the world, such as Latin America and Spain, but also to the internet. Circa 2001, the group launched an official webpage. The site's now defunct, but parts of it were preserved and are viewable through the Wayback Machine.
I was going to say, is this from the Wayback Machine?
As shown by these archived links, the landing page was basically just a wall of text, probably written by Applegary himself, in which he calls out the whistleblowers who accused him of running a cult, and gives a sob story about how he was now being persecuted. To quote the writing, "In the past, when a new doctrine appeared, the prophet was generally killed. Afterward, there would be several million deaths. Today, when there are a few hundred people who are very satisfied with the program, there can still be one or two who are dissatisfied, because it is their habit to fail at what they undertake. Then begins the media lynching that follows the new tortures of the modern Inquisition. 20,000 Cathars were tortured and burned alive, and several thousand Templars as well, over issues of power and money. Fortunately, the internet still offers a space for information that allows sincere people to inform themselves, not through rumours, but through testimonies that can be verified at any time. It is in this spirit that we have gathered on this site what no television or radio channel currently allows to be expressed, given the occult powers that control them." So this site is basically Applegary's defense, a collection of all of the positive testimonials.
Is that what he looked like there? I'm assuming he would have been like dead by now, but
He had acquired over the years. The text goes on to explain the group's history, and promotes Applegary's books, of course. If you scroll to the very bottom, however, you'll stumble upon a link to another site called Krinaos, or Krineos, a version of which is still online today under the URL Mystique1. This bizarre little homepage links to other parts of the site, which in turn link to others, and then back in on themselves again, creating a little online labyrinth of pseudoscience, technobabble, and alien worship. If you search around, you'll find a collection of articles on UFOs and reptilians, a guide on how to make your car run on nothing but water, courses on New Age therapies, a part of the site
yeah, if only we could do that with water.
made only for women, and even Edwin from Baldur's Gate just hanging around. You don't have to try very hard to find links to various other websites run by Applegary either, including Appel à Guérir, a play on words, which literally translates to a call to heal. This site, which is still active today, is filled with AI images, video testimonials, YouTube presentations, and of course, a merch store. Crucially though, it also directs facilities.
AI images? Like, hello? You mean there's still that involved with this website, that they've gained AI tech and are just spamming AI images now on this website? You would assume this is just dead, because it started, what? You said the 60s? Question mark? That was like 60 years ago? Question mark, which that sounds weird, but yeah, that's like 60. The 60s were 60 years ago. Question mark. So, how old is this guy? Was he 20 when he started this? Even if he was 20, he would be 80 now, if not 90. Not. Yeah, he would be 80 or 90 now. Assuming he's still alive and it's not someone else running it.
To Club Qualitative Life, a platform which hosts 3D virtual worlds. As I alluded to at the start,
Hold on.
this is
Had a phone call coming in there, weirdly.
Life, a platform which hosts 3D virtual worlds. As I alluded to at the start of this segment, this is essentially a cult version of Second Life. Users can explore various maps, meet other transcendentalists, take part in workshops, and learn about the teachings of Applegary. These worlds, known as the Internal Hand, have been online since 2011, and despite what the janky graphics suggest, are still receiving updates. After making a totally inconspicuous account, I tried to get into one of the more exotic-sounding worlds, but the only one available to non-members prompts you to download the map, something I strongly recommend you don't do. However, they do have a few maps which you can load in a web browser. I started with the communication point, and after waiting about 30 minutes for the world to load, I was in. As I was told by this virtual assistant, this area is for users to chat via open mic, though unfortunately for me, nobody else was here. And so, I jumped over to the yacht club, and though this seems to be where all of the parties are held, all the Disco Stews and Stellas here were NPCs. After throwing some shapes, I switched to the Unitary Science Institute, and was jump-scared by this.
À toutes les sœurs lumières et merveilleuses âmes qui ont su, à travers l'espace et le temps.
This disembodied voice almost gave me a mini heart attack, but thankfully it was pre-recorded. After listening to some of his interviews, I'm pretty sure this is actually the voice of Applegary himself, imparting his wisdom on repeat. According to this in-game video clip, this Unitary Science Institute is for more advanced members, and it even has its own website, which lists a schedule of upcoming workshops held in both virtual spaces and in person. There's even a gallery showing a fairly large group of participants. What their wellness sessions actually involve, other than sitting in a circle around a crystal, was beyond me though, as none of these people were actually in-game to tell me. At this point, I was starting to get that uncanny feeling of being the only player in a dead MMO, but I did still have one final stop on my Internal Land tour, the Crystal Temple. And to my surprise, 3 people were waiting there to greet me. 2 friendly Canadians meditating side by side, and one individual a little further away who was particularly receptive to my presence, and right off the bat, asked me whether I had Telegram, the encrypted messaging app. I downloaded it, and actually ended up having a conversation with this person, who I'm not going to name just in case they get into trouble.
Yeah, so that's weird to just be downloading Telegram just to talk to some stranger. Never know what's going to happen there. Question mark. I mentioned Telegram before, though. Oh, this is actually comboed into that. I thought this was still in the Cinderella arc. No, we've comboed now into the Virtual Worlds arc, which just happens to have to do with Cinderella. But yeah, I mentioned before that I did have a Telegram before a long time ago, but it was just because, you know, it was just a way to talk to people, talk to my friend for whatever reason. But then I ended up not using it for so long that I think it got deleted. I think they delete your account after X amount of time of not using it.
This person told me that they have been a follower of alexgkiller for many years, have met him in person on multiple occasions, and strongly believed in his teachings. They confirmed that the guru was indeed the creator of the virtual world, and that it was a good place for making special friendships. When I asked about the group's philosophy, they responded, "Everything we see in the external world is only 1% of all that exists. Many people ask themselves big questions, such as, what is the meaning of life? Why am I here? What is my life plan? What is my mission? This evolutionary path can help you find answers to these big questions. And if on one day you meet alexgkiller in real life or in online settings, it becomes even clearer." This individual confirmed that he believed humans were still destined to return to the stars, for we, inside ourselves, are like a star, and that I was welcome to join the group if I wanted to work towards achieving a more luminous life. Checking into the Crystal Temple the following day, many of the same faces were there, including some others from France, Germany, and Argentina. And like before, they all sat there in silence, meditating. I was really struck that if I logged on at a random time in the day, I would, more often than not, encounter people in the Crystal Temple, most of whom were happy to greet me. They weren't AFK, but rather genuinely seemed to be meditating in an online space.
I see over here on the side the emotes I can do. One of them is blow kiss, like really what dance, blow kiss, idle question, kneel, wave, lotus, meditate, which I'm guessing it's at some just Indian style. In the middle there, turn, circle, clean or connect, jump, sleep, transit, lotus, soul, hand front, hand up. You just needed to have blow kiss. Out of all these things, like none of this other stuff is weird, but then it's like, oh, blow kiss out of nowhere.
But after I returned a few more times, I began to feel like I had overstayed my welcome. Apparently, a Spanish user, Ceci Estrella, had heard a newcomer had been sniffing around uninvited.
Who invited you? Nobody. I found this place through my own research. Can you tell me what you do here?
My presence was suddenly being questioned.
You need an invitation to come.
From there, she said that she could no longer speak to me.
I need you identify yourself with a real profile. Sorry, I don't know who you are. I think they're Spanish, right? So they're having trouble with English.
Until she verified my identity. Since it was only the two of us online at that point, and since she was no longer engaging with me, I logged off. I returned a little later and found several members meditating in the temple. But
what is the stuff on the inside? Is this not real people? It's only the people on the outside that are real, and this is just part of the aesthetic?
Ceci Estrella was with them, and I couldn't get a response from anyone anymore, even through private message. So I decided it was time to leave them in peace. Though no longer in its heyday per se, it does appear that Cinderella, or whatever name they're going by today, is still active to some extent. It's just adapted, and moved from a commune to a virtual temple. I genuinely wish the best for all of those that alexgkiller still has influence over. Those inside the game world were all very polite, even when shutting me out, and I hope they're not being exploited. If you choose to visit these virtual worlds yourself, I ask that you don't harass anyone there. But for now, I've shared all that I found.
So that's that. I mean, that's like most of the video. Now what's next? The live stream. And again, the last thing is Uncle Red. We might just skip the end of Uncle Red. I'm not sure. The live stream. Cool little font there, I guess. So let me cut and be right back.
VinnyBat118 was a YouTube channel run by a 17-year-old from New Jersey named Vincent Bataloro.
I streamed MLB The Show and Madden, which was video games.
His content consisted mostly of gaming live streams, with his games of choice being MLB The Show, Madden, and Grand Theft Auto. Whenever he did engage with his viewers, Vincent often talked about how he was a nice kid from a good family. But that facade
isn't that something you shouldn't be saying? If you have to say, I'm a nice kid from a nice family, does it mean you're a bad kid from a bad family?
Was shattered on September 30th, 2025. That evening, Vincent went live yet again, but this time to a far larger and far more hostile audience than he was accustomed to. Because, less than 24 hours earlier, 2 teenage girls had been killed in a violent hit-and-run crash in a neighbouring town, and Vincent was already being linked to it. The collision happened on September 29th, just before 5:30 in the evening, 17-year-olds Maria Niotis and Isabella Salas were riding an electric bike along Burnside Avenue, a quiet residential street in Cranford. The pair were on their way to pick up some boba tea when a black Jeep Compass suddenly accelerated and plowed into them at 70 miles per hour.
So on purpose, then.
The zone they were in was marked 25. The force of the collision threw one of the girls roughly 100 feet from the point of impact. According to witnesses, the driver, a young male, had quietly observed Maria and Isabella from a distance before he intentionally rammed into them.
So why,
He
though?
tried to drive away from the scene, but the e-bike had become lodged in the engine block, forcing him to abandon the car and escape on foot. Ring camera footage from a neighbouring street captured the suspect casually sauntering away from the scene.
So he just like walked back the other way, just again casually jaunting away. This is sped up too, I'm pretty sure. So he's walking even slower than this.
First responders arrived quickly, and the girls were transported to nearby hospitals. Unfortunately, both were pronounced dead on arrival. The abandoned vehicle's license plate traced back to the Badaloro household, and immediately, Maria's family knew who had taken their daughter's life: Vincent Badaloro. According to them, he had been harassing Maria for months, sending her vitriolic text messages and threatening to leak nudes of her. It's currently unclear whether the pair had at one point been a couple. What we do know is that they attended the same school, and several people reported ongoing tension between them.
Is he going to die too, since they're unable to know if they're a couple or not? I mean, I guess you have to take him for his word if he does say yes or no, but I'm going to assume that he's not around either.
Leading up to the crash, for instance, Vincent allegedly sent Maria CSAM, and she reported him to the school.
The heck? That should get him in trouble, question mark. How did he get his hands on it? I'm going to explain what that is, but... Hello? How's he not like immediately jailed? I mean, I think what he's saying right now is he sent it to her and then reported her to the school to try to get her arrested, I guess.
Had at one point been a couple. What we do know is that they attended the same school, and several people reported ongoing tension between them. In the weeks leading up to the crash, for instance, Vincent allegedly sent Maria CSAM, and she reported him to the school authorities. Vincent was suspended, and Maria took out a restraining order against him. Yet despite this, his behavior only escalated.
What do you mean he's get suspended? Hello? Shouldn't he? I guess he's a minor, but I feel like even if you're a minor, you should still have, assuming he's a minor, you should still get the same treatment for that, question mark? Right? Even if you're not an adult? I don't, it's such a weird kind of situation, because he's saying he was going to leak Maria's nudes or something, right? That is essentially what he's saying. It's essentially CSAM as well, because she's underage, she's a minor, right? So I feel like even if you are just minors together, it's still illegal. And I've thought about this before, like what happens when because I was a teenager once, right? Like everybody else, like what happens when teenagers share that kind of explicit content with each other? Is it not just them sharing illegal contraband, because you're not allowed to have that thing, because it's words that YouTube doesn't want to hear, right? So he already has that stuff on him. Like, why are you not calling the cops? She's like, oh yeah, we're gonna suspend you and get a restraining order. She's gonna get a restraining order, and we're supposed to suspend you for having illicit material that is considered one of the most illegal things to own, question mark.
Made false police reports that resulted in officers raiding Maria's family home at least twice. Neighbors claimed he even followed her around town and had been seen parked outside her house on multiple occasions. Old clips uploaded to the Vinnybat channel seem to confirm Maria's family's suspicions. In the months leading up to the incident, Vincent had effectively been using his live streams as a confessional booth. A self-professed Andrew Tate admirer, Vincent routinely complained to his viewers about how
Well, here we go.
Maria was a radical leftist, and how he had sworn vengeance against her. In other streams, Vincent had also admitted that he was unable to control his rage, something which his father was all too familiar with. In fact, Mr. Badaloro had reportedly contacted the police on multiple occasions, expressing concern about Vincent's increasingly erratic and aggressive behavior. Just 1 month before the crash, Vincent had reportedly sprayed his father with mace and stolen his car. Yet despite all of the calls to the police and all the warning signs, the authorities failed to take action until it was too late. Vincent was brought in for questioning at 6:10 p.m. on the evening of the crash. At that stage, investigators were still treating the incident as a possible accident, and he was released pending further investigation, a move which stunned locals and made them question whether his family members had pulled some strings to get him out. It's worth noting that Vincent's uncle is the police chief of Westfield, while his father is a retired officer. Immediately after his release, Vincent went back to his father's home in Garwood, posted condolences to Maria and Isabella on his social media accounts, and, before long, began live streaming on YouTube.
Like, why wouldn't you make sure, I mean, I know it's your son, right? Your son and your nephew, but why would you make sure this guy is in jail just to like sit there and not do anything to anyone else if you know he has issues with his anger and his rage? Question mark also says one watching in the corner. You can't see it, but behind me it says one watching. But I'm guessing that's like from PlayStation, maybe? I don't know if that's a PlayStation thing. Can you stream like this on Xbox? I know you can on the PlayStation, but I don't know about Xbox. But I'm assuming that's just PlayStation. But I'm guessing that's not his YouTube numbers. His YouTube numbers are probably like hundreds, maybe thousands. Who knows? Because they know what he did. And I'm telling you, he's gonna like pull out a gun or something on this stream.
But by that point, word had already spread on Reddit and community pages, with locals directing people to his broadcast to confront him.
So we're live, we're playing co-op. We have Evan right here. What's up, how you doing?
Pretty good, man.
So...
Oh no, he started with 1, so now he's at the 27.
I have some things. Hold on.
Bro, you killed my best friend, you animal.
Vibes Mini.
I don't need negativity in the stream, so everybody's getting timed out.
Why are we running people over?
Everybody...
It just says this on stream. Oh, yeah, this is PlayStation. You see the PlayStation logo right there. I didn't realize it was like text-to-speech naturally on PlayStation like that. 172 people watching now. Again, you can't see. Maybe I can move in a way that... If I lean far enough to the right, my character will move. You can see it there, 172.
Everybody's messaging negativity. It's ridiculous. Let me explain something
Messaging negativity to someone who just killed 2 kids?
real quick before I get the stream going. The more you guys engage in the chat, the more you give me engagement, and I get paid for YouTube.
I'm not one of them.
Just like...
In the jail stream. You have ads? This man has ads? Because he's saying more engagement equals more money, I'm guessing, but... Hello? First off, no. That's not how that works. That's not how engagement works. They need to see ads to get money, first of all, but... 2, this man has freaking... a YouTube partnership, question mark? Also, there's 200 people now. When's the jail stream? And Alex says, I'm not one of them. Alex Rodriguez down there, question mark, saying he's not one of them. I'm guessing that's he's sticking up for this guy. So he's another Tate fan, I'm guessing, though. I feel like someone like this who's running over and killing people is like calling him a Tate fan is an understatement. Because I feel like this guy's just a murderer, right? He's just a horrible person. And I'd argue like not everybody who just watches so-and-so whatever is a bad person. But this person is a bad person because they literally stalked, harassed, and killed 2 people, question mark.
Letting y'all know.
Hi.
Stream after incident, mourn the death of 2 innocent people. Yeah, it's like stream after incident, check mark, mourn the death of 2 innocent people, X.
But that's fine.
Someone says hi. Someone says, are you going to jail?
That's fine. Y'all just give me engagement. That's fine. That's fine.
Rip Isabel and Maria, you monster.
How did you get bail money? And then the rip to the 2 people who died.
Rip Isabel and Maria, you monster.
This person's spamming that now. Almost 300 people watching.
It's called being detained, not bailed money.
Rip Isabel and Maria, you monster. Rip Isabel and Maria, you monster.
Yeah, this person just keeps spamming, like, rip Isabel and Maria.
Rip Isabel and Maria, you
I may not even start this, I'm not gonna lie. We're not.
Try not to drop the soap challenge win. Oof.
Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord.
2 girls gone, buddy.
What is he gonna do? Like, is he actually feeling guilt? Because this is actually really weird. And, like, I don't know. This is, like, actually genuinely weird and awkward.
I'm coming for your head, boy. Police ain't Yoshi up yet. He's milking views, loudly crying face. Killer.
I'm thinking maybe another way to do the stream.
I didn't understand what he said. He's just sitting there just staring at the comments rather than actually streaming. Everyone's just like ganging up on him, as rightfully so. And I was saying he's gonna like end his existence on stream or something, but I think he just genuinely just got back on YouTube to stream and did not care about what he had just done or did, but now he's just getting bombarded and he can't handle it.
Killer. They're gonna put you in a cell with Diddy.
So this was recent enough, since they just mentioned Diddy there. I didn't know when this actually happened, but clearly within the last, year or two?
Halfway through the stream, Vincent disabled the chat and addressed the situation, alluding to misinformation that was spreading online and
309 people watching.
attempting to paint himself as the victim.
Now that I got that figured out, I'm going to finally explain this whole situation. And I'm not authorized to talk about the whole thing.
Where are your parents? Because this is probably not your room. This is like the living room. Where the heck are your parents?
But I will say this. I wish my sincerest condolences to those two girls lost in that tragic accident. Okay? It is an absolute unfortunate situation, and there's more to the story that you're not getting. But when the time comes, I will explain it in greater detail. I don't plan to go anywhere anytime soon regarding streaming. But again, if I do end up taking a hiatus, I'm telling you guys why.
The tone of Vincent's response felt measured, as if he were trying to acknowledge the situation without saying anything that could be used against him in court.
Sure.
What wasn't detectable was any sense of remorse.
Nope.
Vincent ended the stream when one of his viewers doxed his address. On October 1st, 2025, just one day after the now infamous livestream, Vincent Badaloro was arrested and charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. Prosecutors allege that he intentionally set out to take Maria's life that day, and that he viewed Isabella as an acceptable collateral loss. They've since pushed to try Vincent as an adult, arguing that he rushed to commit the crime before his upcoming 18th birthday to try and receive a lighter sentence, which...
Interesting idea. Did that work, though?
they say would be an injustice.
Yeah, wouldn't they just be like, screw that, you're getting tried as an adult?
If tried as an adult and convicted, he'll be facing 30 years to life. His YouTube channel has since been terminated.
It doesn't even exist anymore. So I'm guessing this is just so new that we don't know how long he's going to be sentenced for, right? So it's too soon to know when that's going to happen. Also, again, here's Uncle Red, aka Sister Hong, which, again, this is the 3rd time we've gone over this person, so we can just, not care too much about this.
In early July
unless he actually
2025,
ends up talking about something new. And it's just the unfortunate side of watching so many different people talk about a combination of things. You're going to get reruns.
this uncanny face, with deathly white skin and bright red lips, became one of the most recognizable across every Chinese social media platform. To a few unlucky people online, this was Sister Hong, the mastermind behind a get-rich-quick scheme that ruined the lives of hundreds, possibly thousands of people.
AKA Uncle Red.
Over the span of several years, an undetermined number of men had arrived at Sister Hong.
Oh, they call him Red Uncle? Actually, Uncle Red sounds better, so that's why I'm calling Uncle Red.
Stingy, underground, windowless apartment, most of them bearing small gifts. Things like watermelons, tissue paper, half-used containers of peanut oil. They'd chat for a while with Sister Hong, sometimes embrace, and then the gentleman caller would be directed to the bathroom to wash up and get ready. When they emerged, Sister Hong would lead them to the bed. Some of the men would try to turn out the lights, but Hong always made sure that the scene remained perfectly lit. While still wearing a long, loose skirt, Sister Hong would climb onto her visitor and
What is this image here? Just clay. Clay creations of Uncle Red.
initiate physical contact. If one of the guests ever pointed out that something didn't feel quite right, Sister Hong would simply reply that she was swollen down there. But that, of course, was untrue, because behind the Sister Hong persona was a 38-year-old man surnamed Zhao. To be clear, there's no indication that Zhao identified as a woman in his day-to-day life.
Yeah, which is what I'm saying. It's just calling him Uncle Red or he or whatever. He's not trans or anything.
In fact, according to official reports, his only motivation for presenting this one was to lure men into his home and into a trap, one which is currently the focus of a major criminal investigation. Zhao's modus operandi was simple. He would take photos of himself dressed as his alter ego, Sister Hong, and use makeup, filters, and a face mask to more convincingly present as a female online. Then, he'd target young men on dating apps, playing the part of a sad woman stuck in an unhappy marriage. After building a rapport, he'd offer the men a rare opportunity to come over and enjoy an experience they would never forget, completely free of charge, and hundreds leapt at the chance.
Yeah, all they had to do was just bring a random item to the house. That's it. It could be anything, which is why he just got gets bags of like food or water. I know like the vegetable oil was like a big joke as well. You know, the watermelon, what have you. Though he's just there recording them without their consents and selling that online. You know, just voyeurism trap. Corn? Question mark. What do you even call this? 'Cause I think some of the guys do know that he's a guy, but some of them don't somehow. So he's tricking them into having relations with him under the guise that he's a woman and not a man. Which I mean, I feel like it's going to be kind of hard for him to not realize that when he leaves the lights on. But he needs the lights to be on so that he can get the footage so that he can sell.
But while catfishing someone is obviously immoral at best and illegal at worst, as has been pointed out, many of Zhao's visitors were handsome, muscular young men, or as the media creepily refers to them in China, little fresh meat. They could have easily met plenty of equally young, equally good-looking women online. Yet,
yeah, so a lot of these guys were like married or what have you, so some people don't really feel bad that, you know, they essentially were being voyeuristically recorded without their consent, question mark. Or maybe even tricked into having relations with someone they necessarily would not have wanted to have relations with if they had all the information, question mark.
dozens had agreed to pay a visit to Sister Hong instead. Broadly speaking, homosexuality in China is less socially accepted than it is in the West, and online commentators have debated whether some visitors were...
I wasn't even thinking about that. I don't know if I probably did know that from the other times that we've watched this, or at least from the Stephanie video, but completely forgot. I just assumed it's fine. Right, so that also is an issue for them over there, because a lot of these guys, you know, all their identities and whatnot were exposed and shown having relations with Uncle Red when this all blew up. And then, of course, the stigma of being, I guess, gay in China is a problem. So, like, a lot of these guys' lives got messed up. Though, again, I feel like a lot of these guys were married, so that's why it's like, oh, whatever, you cheated on your wife, so who cares about what you did? Question mark. But it had like a farther spreading effect, you know, because people were being like, oh, they see some random guy on the street, he has a random object in his hand, right, like a watermelon, and they go up to him like, hey, you gonna go see your uncle or something? And they might answer yeah, or your uncle or aunt, not knowing like what they're talking about. And then like, oh wow, you're sick, you're disgusting, or whatever, because like it's just a guy with a watermelon going down the street being accosted because of this situation, not knowing anything about the Uncle Red thing at all. Like, they're just minding their own business, right?
were actually aware of Zhao's real identity before they arrived, and simply went along with the roleplay. Perhaps some were aware, perhaps some weren't. But what none...
Again, like I said, like some of these guys just, you know, like how do you... I don't think you can really hide that, right? Like, they're gonna know, right? They're gonna be looking. And they're just doing it anyways.
of them had any idea about was the fact that their hookups had been secretly filmed by a hidden camera.
Yeah, that's like the point, recording without the consent. I feel like a lot of these videos aren't very long, though. No shade, though.
Behind the scenes, Zhao was running a paid subscription service. After his...
So, like, how much money can you really get from, like, what, videos that are, like, 3 to, like, 10 minutes long? Because we've seen, like, the entire, like, collage of videos. Like, and their timings. Like, we haven't actually watched them, right? They're on Stephanie's, or Rotten Mango channel. You can just, like, see the images of the videos and their timestamps.
His visitors had cleaned up and left the building, he would share the secret recordings he had made with them through encrypted messaging apps. Access to one of Zhao's groups reportedly cost 150 yuan per month, or roughly $20 US. And for years, business was booming, with hundreds of victims reportedly featuring in his collection.
I don't know if business was booming, man. You see his apartment?
But Zhao's secret scheme came crashing down when one of his customers leaked the videos online, completely uncensored. One victim found out and went to the police, but by then, it was already too late. Overnight, Sister Hong, now called the Red Uncle, became the hottest trending topic on Weibo, garnering hundreds of millions of views. And as clips were posted and reposted, the story rapidly spiraled beyond the facts. Viral posts claimed that Red Uncle had met 1,691 men, a number that was repeated so often that people simply accepted it as official. Memes, parodies, and stylized recreations flooded the internet. Even companies were capitalizing on his notoriety, incorporating the Red Uncle into their marketing.
Duolingo Brazil? Really, Duolingo? You literally... Duolingo is wild, right? Because they have the whole horror thing going, but like Duolingo Brazil? freaking having your Duolingo bird owl coming into Uncle Red's apartment to have relations with him. Hello, with carrying a bag of oranges as his gift for Uncle Red. Like, what are you doing? Like, Jesus H. Christ. Brazil. Duolingo Brazil. You know, again, I'm someone who does Duolingo every day. Well, now, not on the weekends. But it's just like so shocking to be like, wow, Duolingo, really? You really being this weird?
Campaigns, transforming what had begun as a criminal investigation into a bizarre joke. Others simply used this incident as an excuse to spout vile homophobic and transphobic
Hold up. What was that costume?
investigation into a bizarre joke. Others simply
Why? Oh, it was Japanese yen. I was like, what are you... $5,000, like $6,000 for freaking this outfit? But it's actually like $60. Around $60. I mean, less than that technically, right? I think it should be $58, so less than $58. But still, that's a lot of money. But I'm guessing what is the wig, the shirt, the skirt, question mark. So I guess that's a lot of clothes for $60. I mean, it's an entire outfit, question mark, for $60. So sure.
used this incident as an excuse to spout vile homophobic and transphobic comments online. Officials urged the public to stop reposting the clips, warning that sharing the content or attempting to identify those involved could itself constitute a crime. But the damage was already done. An uncensored collage of the men involved was disseminated, with social media users urging women to check each headshot with their husbands, brothers, fathers, sons. Countless people speculated about the identities of each man featured, created...
Yeah, like everyone is just trying to hunt these guys down and shame them or ruin their lives, question mark. Though it's like, if they're not married, it's like, who cares? Like, they can have relations with whoever they want to, especially if it's not even paid. It's not necessarily X work, right? I mean, it is X work, but it's free. So it's so weird how that kind of like works. If you get paid for it, then it's against the law. But if you don't get paid for it, then it's perfectly fine, which is what this is. So it's like they're just going to have a one-night stand with some random person. Like, so what if it's Uncle Red, right? Question mark. Or just some random guy who's cross-dressing. Like, who cares? These guys are allowed to do whatever they want, but it kind of just seems like they're being hunted down, right? To be humiliated publicly. Question mark, just because I guess how society works over there, I don't know.
It fabricated backstories.
Other than the guys who actually were cheating on their wives. Like, obviously they're bad. The regular guys who aren't, like, just, they can have relations with whoever they want. Right?
And even ranked their favorite visitors. Some men featured were harassed far more harshly than others. For example, Mr. Four Seasons, so nicknamed because
yeah, this guy, because he shows up every season.
he visited the apartment 4 times over a 1-year period. Leather Jacket Man became particularly famous when people within his social circle recognized him and forwarded the video featuring him to his fiancée, who then publicly stated that their 3-year relationship was over. Another victim was a famous TikToker with over 1 million followers, who was recognized by his audience and turned into a laughingstock. But perhaps the most well-known man involved was a kindergarten teacher, nicknamed Mr. May as well, who initially confronted Sister Hong about being a man, only to then ponder the situation and say, "I'm already here, may as well." Some of these men reportedly lost their jobs, their relationships, their reputations.
What about, like, was he married? Was that kindergarten teacher married? Again, if not, like, who cares?
And in some cases, even their health. At least 3 of Xiao's victims tested positive for HIV, though it's currently unclear
Like, that's the issue, though, right? You're just spreading diseases.
whether their transmission was connected to the suspect. Regardless, health authorities issued a notice encouraging those who had had intimate contact with Xiao to seek medical testing. They also warned that the victims may have passed the disease onto their own wives or girlfriends, so if their identities hadn't yet been leaked, they'd still need to come clean and make sure that their loved ones got tested too. Xiao is currently being detained for disseminating obscene content for profit. Whether additional...
Oh, here's, like, some of the timestamps, right? Oh, that's as bad as I thought. I was like 3 minutes. Or, like, just a couple minutes for some people. We got down to 4, up to 13, 14. There's one's 14. So a lot of that is, you know, the person coming in, them giving the gifts, them telling their whatever. I don't know if there's some sort of consent thing they have to do. I think there's like a consent app or something that happens before that. So you shave a lot of that time off. So some of it is just like a couple minutes. Like, they come in, be there for a couple minutes and leave. Or have relations for a couple minutes and then leave.
Additional charges follow remains to be seen. While the investigation continues, the online witch hunt has thankfully calmed. Indeed, the internet has already moved on. but for the countless people directly affected by the incident, including those who had secretly been filmed, and those affected by their actions, the damage may be irreparable.
And there you go, that is going to be that for today. And we've already seen Sister Hong like a 1,000 times at this point, right? We're probably going to see it again another 1,000 times, Uncle Red here. But yeah, the Cinderella stuff is pretty cool. And by pretty cool, I mean the virtual world part is pretty cool. The rest of this is just like messy. He should have gone to jail for this part, though, right? The forcing the women to have relations with him. Well, forcing in quotations. Of course, I don't know what the other cult was that killed themselves? Question mark. But oof there. Again, I don't know how many cults have done this over the years, other than the Kool-Aid one. I don't know if there's like a video of. It sounds like messed up, and I mean most of these videos are messed up. But, top 10 cults that committed Kool-Aid, right? I'm pretty sure there's a video on YouTube that's something like that, right? A live stream. Again, just get rid of this guy, right? Just lock him away forever. And of course, Uncle Red. I don't remember if Uncle Red's in jail. Like, he said he's locked up, or he's detained, but is he actually going to get jail time or not? I don't remember. Even though, again, this is like the third time of us discussing Uncle Red. I don't know what his jail sentencing looks like, if he had any at all. Yep, that's going to be it for today. So, cuties, thanks for watching. Remember to buy my stickers if they will becoming a member. Subscribe if you unsubscribe, because we're working on watch time and subscribers. And over it, we have your throw nozzle. And shout out to the members, EmmyStarr, RaleyDrew, and alexgkiller 880. Bye, cuties. Thanks for watching. Tune to the next episode. Like, subscribe, hype, and comment. You know the do. See ya.